Hey, I'm Brian, a veteran game developer who also worked in the film industry for a long time. I've been a creative director, narrative director, animation director, lead writer, storyboard artist, animator, character designer, teacher. I've worked on Mass Effect 2, StarCraft 2, Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls, Paragon, Jade Empire, and more. I've also worked on lots of film and TV like Iron Giant, Space Jam, Lion King 1.5, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, The Curious George movie, and more. I've worked at lots of studios. Woo! Finally, I've taught classes and lectured at a variety of universities like Cal Arts, Laguna College of Art and Design, University of California Irvine, and Harvard's Graduate School of Design. And now I'd love to talk story with you. So the first possible approach that a team can take in terms of care and feeding of the IP is the figure it out as we go approach. And a lot of teams working on the first game in a series take this approach, and I can understand why. The argument for doing it this way would basically be creating a game, especially a first game where you're still defining the experience and the fantasy of playing this game and the UI and the music and the gameplay and all of the factors is incredibly hard in and of itself. If you try to add on top of that some extra brain power devoted to the IP, there's a chance that you'll take your eye off the ball and then you will fail to make a great game, and then it won't matter what your future plans were because your game will be a failure, nobody will play it, people will demand refunds, and it will never become an IP, and you will have failed at your core responsibility of making a great game. That's all completely true and completely valid way to think. I can absolutely understand a team thinking, look, we don't have the bandwidth to think about what we're going to be doing in Title 3 of this game, or the novels or comic books or graphic novels or whatever that are coming out someday, because we have to make a great game first and foremost, or really only. But I would say that at a bare minimum, you can take an approach of do no harm. In other words, at least just think about how your decisions will affect the future of this IP if it's a success. And you can see it in certain IPs where there was a successful game and the team had clearly added a bunch of cool art and sound effects and especially great gameplay, but they hadn't really thought about how their universe works and where it could go from here. And so in the second and third title, there's a lot of reverse engineering where some people, part of the team, are trying to explain retroactively why certain things work the way they do, or make certain changes that will allow the universe to grow. If you're taking the figure it out as we go approach, focus on the game, make a great game, but at least just have one little tiny sliver when you make a creative decision about the universe, little sliver of your brain thinking, okay, does this do harm in the future? And you won't always be able to see it coming. It depends on your level of experience, but at least consider, some real basic, easy ones, some low-hanging fruit is leave a couple of loose threads in your universe. Plant seeds for things, reference things that don't get paid off or even introduced. You don't even have to know where it's going story-wise. Reference something and let players be curious about it. If your game's a hit, players will be curious about it and they'll debate each other on the subreddit, and that's golden. Make sure that your ending, while completely satisfying, does not close out any possibility of future content. In other words, if the end of your game is that the player ascends to godhood and is now the most powerful being in the universe, then great, then that is an amazing ending as long as you are 100% sure that you never want to make another game in this universe, or that if you do, the player will have to play as a new character. They can't be the character from the first game. Or you'll have to have the character have a fall from divinity in the second title, which can work. I did that once in a game, but it can also be very unsatisfying because it seems to contradict the events of the first game. A lot of times when you see retcons happen, that is because the team is trying to expand the universe in a way and they are unable to do it because of some decision that was made in the first game. And usually if they can find a way around that decision, a creative way, they don't have to do a retcon. And I don't think anyone should do retcons, but when you do see one, that's why. It's because someone made a decision 5 or 10 years earlier while making a game that they never even knew would close off some major area of growth in the IP. Figure it out as we go is not the best approach because of the potential to create a stunted universe that can't really grow. But I do understand why it happens. There is sometimes a necessity for it, and if you're in that kind of an environment, make sense, just try to mitigate it. You will sometimes play a game, a second or third title in a series, and you'll feel the game laboring to try to enlarge the universe, or trying to retroactively explain something that seemed like a cool idea in the first game but actually didn't really make sense for the future possible growth. So that's really it for Figure It Out As We Go. That's all for now. I'll see you on the next one.